Welcome to this Relief for Seasonal Allergies virtual workshop. I'm Salima Harleston-Lust, clinical herbalist, medical astrologer, spiritual teacher, and co-founder of I Will a Remedy, where through our private consultations, classes, and herbal medicine products, we help you turn your health issues into non-issues, holistically and spiritually. This program is sponsored by the DeKalb County Public Library, and I invite you to explore more of DeKalb County Public Library's online resources and virtual programs at dekalblibrary.org. According to the National Health Interview Survey from 2018, 19 million people were diagnosed with hay fever, the type of allergies we'll be talking about in this workshop over a 12-month period. If you're watching this workshop, then you're probably one of the 19 million people, or you know someone who experiences seasonal allergies. In this workshop, I'm going to teach you about herbal remedies, foods, and practices that can help relieve your sneezing, runny nose, and itchy eyes. Some of the herbs and foods can be found in our very own DeKalb Farmers Market. From this workshop, you'll also gain a deeper understanding of why the allergic response happens in the physical body, as well as understand the underlying emotions that are associated with it. Of course, check with your doctor before starting any new diet or exercise program. Let's get started. Here's what's happening in the body. So your immune system is your defense against the world. Your immune system has the ability and the intelligence to recognize what is you and what is not you. It protects what is you and fights what isn't. However, its role is even more subtle than this. Think about it this way. Food and beverages that you consume are not you, yet the immune system must allow these substances to enter the body and use its nutrients as fuel. The immune system doesn't typically treat food or beverages or even pollen or dust or any other substance that truly isn't harmful as a foreign invader. Normally, the immune system manages this process very well, but sometimes, for a variety of factors, it doesn't. Allergies are essentially an overreaction of the immune system to substances that generally do not cause harm to the body. The most common reactions these substances, or allergens, cause are sneezing, coughing, itching, nasal congestion, wheezing, shortness of breath, headache, fatigue, hives, and other skin rashes. Allergic reactions can range from merely bothersome to life-threatening. Here are the stages of an allergic reaction. The IgE antibodies are produced by plasma cells in response to the presence of an allergen. Antibodies are designed to neutralize the damage of foreign invaders, certain bacteria and viruses. When you are exposed to a substance that the body wrongfully identifies as an invader, the IgE antibodies on these mast cells bind to the allergen. Then the IgE primed mast cells release histamines and other chemicals that cause the allergy symptoms, like sneezing, runny nose, itchy eyes, etc. One of the questions is, why do some people have these IgE antibodies that react to harmless substances in certain foods, but not everyone? Because everyone doesn't have the same allergies. Allergies can be the result of decreased immune response, bombardment with irritating substances, nutrient deficiency, decreased digestive function, or a combination of all of these factors. While a tendency toward allergies may be inherited, the extent to which they manifest may have more to do with dietary, emotional, and environmental factors than genetic factors. That's from Aviva Ram and her book, Naturally Healthy Babies and Children, A Common Sense Guide to Herbal Remedies, Nutrition, and Health. So how do we find relief? We reduce exposure, improve our immunity, facilitate elimination of toxins, reduce the histamine response, decongest and strengthen the respiratory system, and reflect on the emotional component. These are the things we're going to address, as I share foods, herbal remedies, lifestyle practices, and emotional processing in order to alleviate the symptoms of allergies and or to transcend the condition altogether. A large part of my work is really helping people understand the emotional root causes of pain, illness, and disease, because just as wellness starts from within, so does illness. And no matter the condition, there is an emotional connection that needs to be addressed, while one simultaneously works to improve the conditions of the physical body. So we're not just going to keep it surface level in this virtual workshop. No. By talking about herbs and diet and lifestyle changes, those are important, but we're also going to dive deep into the feelings to bring balance there too. So first things first, let's talk about lifestyle practices that you can implement to help reduce your exposure to allergies. Keep your home and car windows closed. Avoid using window fans which blow pollen into the house. Run the air conditioner in your home and car instead of having the windows open. Check the local pollen count on allergies on the news or online, and limit your outdoor time on high pollen count days if you can. If you have severe allergies, wear a pollen mask on high pollen count days when you know you're going to be outside. Wear a hat, so that also, because pollen attaches to your hair, that'll help. Our son Niles experiences allergies and his eyes get really itchy, so something that we recently implemented was him wearing his swim goggles when we go out for errands. And it's cool because he's 5 and it makes him feel like a superhero. I'm not suggesting you wear swim goggles, but there is a lot to be said about getting creative and finding solutions that improve your outdoor time experience. Avoid planning outdoor activities for the early morning when pollen levels tend to peak. Pollen levels may also be elevated on really hot, dry, and breezy days. Change your clothes and bathe after being outside for an extended period of time or before bedtime. And don't re-wear your clothes. Wash them after one use during allergy season because pollen clings to your clothes and hair. Keep your pets either inside or outside as the pollen can attach to their fur. Don't air dry laundry outside. Use the dryer or dry them indoors. Vacuum weekly, vacuum often. That really helps to remove some of the pollen that's carried inside on people and pets. Use a vacuum cleaner with a small particle or HEPA filter. HEPA stands for high efficiency particulate air. And the HEPA filter is a type of mechanical air filter. It works by forcing air through a fine mesh that traps harmful particles such as pollen, pet dander, dust mites, and tobacco smoke. You can find those filters in most air purifiers. Have someone else mow the lawn if possible and keep it cut short. Avoid touching your face when working in the garden or the yard. And when done, leave your gardening gloves and your tools outside and change immediately. If you keep a mustache or a beard, cleanse it with soap twice a day. Flush your sinuses using a saline solution and a neti pot twice per day, morning and evening before bed. And also intermittent fasting can help because it gives all of your organs a break so that the body can really focus on cleansing the organs, purifying your blood, helping you to lose excess weight and water, flushing out toxins, clearing the eyes and the tongue, and cleansing the breath. Done with regularity, intermittent fasting can heal lots of chronic health issues. Be sure to do your research on that process to find out if it's best for you. And here we come to dietary recommendations and foods. You definitely want to eat more fruits, especially bananas for the magnesium, which has been shown to quell allergy attacks. Eat more vegetables, yogurt, grains, whole grains, raw nuts and seeds, and stay on a high fiber diet. Reduce consumption of cakes, chocolate, coffee, dairy, except yogurt, packaged and processed foods, pies, soft drinks, artificial sugar, tobacco, white flour products, and junk food. Add raw local honey to help build your body's tolerance to local pollen. It's also anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and antibacterial. 3 spoonfuls of honey a day would be amazing. Give yourself a daily immunity boost with raw apple cider vinegar, which also improves your gut flora, supports healthy lymphatic drainage. It also blocks your body's histamine response and reduces inflammation. 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar diluted in 2 cups of water in the morning is a good practice. Take a good vitamin C supplement and incorporate more vitamin C rich foods like tropical fruits, citrus fruits, broccoli, cauliflower, and berries. Vitamin C is a natural antihistamine, which means it can lower histamine levels and mitigate allergic reactions and symptoms. Now let's talk about herbal support. So generally with our herbal support, we are aiming to reduce the histamine response, alleviate the symptoms, the itchy eyes, congestion, runny nose, wheezing, sneezing, rashes, etc., reduce the inflammation that accompanies these symptoms, improve and bolster the immune system so that it's less reactionary to pollen and other substances that it should not consider harmful to the body. And lastly, we want to improve elimination of toxins through the digestive system, the lymphatic system, and the urinary system. When the body is overloaded with toxins, it has an even more difficult time discerning what should stay and what should go. Burdock or gobo root, it's a nutritive, liver tonic, and strong detoxifying herb that cleanses the blood and lymph. It's soothing and cooling to the mucous membranes, clears congestion, and reduces swelling. Corn silk is alterative, diuretic, demulcent, and tonic. It has been shown to inhibit IgE antibody formation that causes allergic reactions. Helps remove mucus through the urine. Horseradish is a potent decongestant, a very hot and drying remedy that thins mucus and opens the sinus cavities rapidly. Use it in small amounts and with caution. Really see how your body responds and reacts to all of the plants. Thyme, this is already probably in your kitchen cabinet. It's a deep and powerful detoxifier. It opens the pores, thins mucus, moves fluids, and enhances digestion. You can use thyme as a tea and a steam. And grow it in your garden. Turmeric stimulates the liver, strengthens digestion, and helps to improve intestinal flora. It promotes proper metabolism and is an excellent anti-inflammatory agent. Elderberry, this is an immune system modulator, very popular. It can regulate your immune system's response. It can lessen an overactive one or stimulate the immune system's response to imbalance. And it's antiviral remedy with an affinity for the respiratory system, and it's supportive for asthma, coughs, fever, respiratory infections, and sore throats. It also grows here. You can plant an elder tree, and the berries, the flowers, and the bark are all medicinal. Eyebright is one of my favorite herbs for the sinuses. It's a sinus remedy that thins, dries, and clears upper respiratory congestion. Perfect remedy for the runny nose, watery eyes, and sneezing, and it also works really well as an eye compress to help with those itchy eyes. Goldenrod counters allergies, especially pollen allergies. It helps with fever, sore throats, coughs, colds, and the flu. It is contraindicated in edema from heart failure or kidney failure, and this information comes from the herbalist Susan Weed. And contrary to popular belief, goldenrod is not one of the allergy-causing flowers. It barely produces any pollen. It grows prolifically here in Atlanta, so you can plant some in your backyard. Mullein leaf, as a pulmonary ally, it soothes, relaxes, and opens the respiratory system to relieve congestion and reduce coughing. It's also an excellent bronchial pain reliever and a lymphatic cleanser. Another plant that grows here in Atlanta. Plant it. The flowers, the leaves, and the root are all medicinal. And then lastly, stinging nettle leaf. This is a multivitamin herb in and of itself. Nettle nourishes and strengthens the kidneys, liver, lungs, and digestion, cleans the blood, it heals damaged tissues, and supports the entire body. It's nutritive, antihistamine, alterative, and a kidney ally, and it aids in the preventing of allergy attacks. Also, another plant that grows in Atlanta, we have it in our garden. Plant it. The leaves, the seeds, the roots are all medicinal. So here is an infusion blend that I wanted to share with you of goldenrod, nettle leaf, and eyebright. Place your herbs in a large pot. That's going to be 1 tablespoon of goldenrod, 1 tablespoon of nettle, and 1 teaspoon of eyebright, which you'll usually find in powdered form. Pour 4 cups of fresh boiled hot water over your dried herb that's in your pot. Do not use the microwave to heat your water. Cover and let it steep for an hour or more, preferably overnight. Then strain and drink at least 2 cups of this blend per day. For best results, you really want to start drinking this daily 3 months prior to the start of allergy season and continue to drink it throughout. My personal experience with drinking this blend regularly is that when I moved back to Atlanta in 2016, I did start experiencing allergies, and at first I didn't even know what was going on. The symptoms had gotten so bad that it spiraled into a very bad sinus infection that lingered for about 3 weeks. I started drinking this blend daily for 3 months straight, nonstop. And by the time the spring rolled around, because I moved here in the midst of fall and the fall allergy uptick, I had no hay fever response at all in the spring, and it hasn't returned. So I highly recommend that you commit to drinking this blend daily. And now let's talk about what's the deeper meaning. Your health is affected by more than your physical condition, so much more. It's also impacted by your inner environment, your mental and emotional states, your needs to learn certain spiritual lessons. It's really important for us to have conversations that extend beyond what's happening in the physical body. Just like wellness starts from within, so does illness. And what is happening in the physical body is an external indicator of what's happening in the internal environment. The body is a master messenger, communicating on the outside what needs to be addressed on the inside. Because we are more than just our bodies, this next section is all about addressing what is happening on the emotional and spiritual levels. Just like you don't get the flu every time it's flu season, you don't catch a cold or get that stomach bug, when the rest of your family is out for the count. There are other factors that come into play when we talk about illness. It's the same with allergies. Everyone doesn't have them, and science can't fully explain why some people experience them and why some don't. Additionally, sometimes they come and go for people. I'm a perfect example of that. I've only experienced seasonal allergies that one time when I moved here. And in addition to the herbal blend I shared, I did some emotional digging. So when it comes to illness, I always like to ask myself questions, why me right now? Not from a victim standpoint, but that curiosity of why am I experiencing this right now? What's triggering me? What emotions have I really not been in tune with lately? What's going on with me on the inside emotionally that is, increasing my chances for getting sick? And what can I learn from this experience? So asking these questions and turning inward, this is a process that my wife Tammy and I call emotional alchemy. It's a process of turning your awareness inward to see the interconnection of your thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations. Through emotional alchemy, you're developing your awareness of what you're thinking about, how those thoughts are producing feelings, and how those pent-up feelings manifest as physical sensations, and when left unchecked, eventually turn into pain, illness, and disease. Emotional alchemy leads you to understanding what negative thought patterns you need to release because you see how they don't serve you. Emotional alchemy, in essence, is about transforming your emotional negatives into positives. So I have this emotional, encyclopedic resource, and it's called The Messages from the Body by Dr. Michael J. Lincoln. In it are physical ailments, imbalances, and diseases alongside explanations of what is going on with a person spiritually and emotionally. The whole goal of the book is to get people to become more aware of their emotional contribution to their physical health. Of course, someone like me, whose whole mission in life is to get people to dive deeper into themselves and reclaim their wellness in mind, body, and spirit, this book is like reading the ultimate New York Times bestseller. So this book, though, is just one reference that helps us understand how negative thoughts and emotions lead to pain, illness, and disease. But all of our traditional, thousands of year old holistic healing modalities like Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine, medical astrology, the chakra system, they say the same things, that illness starts from within, and that we can bridge the connection between the pattern of thought that someone has directly had to the physical manifestation of how that thought became a thing. So what I'm about to share with you, it's not new. It's just largely ignored by modern science. So here's what I'm going to do next. In the following 5 slides, there are short explanations from Messages from the Body for why someone may experience allergies. The book gives 5 different potential emotional causes, and I'm going to pull them up one by one and read them. So let me preface that the language in the book, it's extreme. You may read these passages on causes for allergies and automatically dismiss them because they sound so extreme, so harsh. But as you read them, take a few minutes to dial the language back in your head and think about how thought patterns begin. For example, rage just doesn't begin at rage. You're not born angry or violent. Those emotions build up to extremes over time based on what you've experienced or what you've been told or what you've believed to be true about yourself. Rage, let's just say it begins with a minor irritation that builds up over time and left unchecked, unprocessed, unhealed. You keep experiencing similar circumstances, then it turns into rage. Here's the first passage. Woe is me. They are suffering from emotional congestion. They are hung up in the hurts of the past in the form of chronic grief. They believe that time is passing them by and that things are only going to get worse. They feel unsafe and unloved, yet they don't feel they have the right to release their grief and sorrow. So they repress it and they suppress their tears. This all arose out of a shame-inducing and punitive family. Passage number 2, resentment, rage. They are plagued with the effects of their repressed anger and desires for aggression. They want revenge for all of the pain they have experienced, but they deeply fear that implications and ramifications should they ever act on this. They come from a virulently but subtly invasive and abusive family in which to do or say anything about what was happening would have led to disastrous results. Passage number 3, persecution trip. They are convinced that the world is out to get them and to torture them. Their experience is that things are forever working against them in a malevolent manner. They are the product of an essentially slyly sadistic family who really did subtly persecute them. Passage number 4, guilt grabbing. They feel responsible for everything that goes wrong, that has gone wrong, or that will go wrong. Their experience is that I caused World War II, and their fear is that they will cause World War III. Their family was intensely accusatory, accountability attributing, and blame throwing. And passage number 5, season fearing. They are enslaved to the calendar in the sense that they so expect the congestion that they precipitate it right on schedule. Their family was full of such expectations, attributions, and interpretations and elicitations. Did any of these potential explanations resonate with you or trigger you? And resonating in the sense of having a deep knowing that something within this passage is true. So what do you do with this information? Now that there has been, a correlation drawn between what's happening in the body and what's happening inside, what do we do about it? Awareness is huge, and awareness is the first step in any healing process. And so because once you know, you can't unknow. Once the seed is planted, it's like, it can germinate and flower. So once you know better, you also do better. So number 1 is you would reflect on it. You take some quiet time out to think about your own emotional state. What issues are unresolved? A question prompt could be like, what anger and shame needs to be healed today for me? See what comes up, follow the thought thread. Something will always come up. It may be a memory of an experience you haven't thought about in years. Through the process of reflecting, uninterrupted and in silence, you'll be able to turn up the volume on your inner voice. And instead of forcing your thoughts, you can allow your mind to wander and receive the answers that you're looking for. You're really trying to find, what's the emotional root cause of this? Put the passage into context in your life. Again, dial the language back. What was one word or phrase that you read in the passages or heard in the passages that resonated or triggered you? Maybe it was anger, guilt, fear, things working against you, shame, hurt, whatever it was. Think about how you feel that feeling often. That's how you start to apply it to your life. And be radically honest with yourself. Once One thing that we can all be sure of is that every single person on this planet is emotional. We are all feeling something. And it's not the feelings of anger, rage, guilt, shame, blame, criticism that are bad. It's the suppression, the lack of wanting to acknowledge or even knowing how to acknowledge those negative feelings that is quote unquote bad. Being radically honest with yourself means that the next time your friend, as an example, misses your call and it upsets you because she never answers her phone, you acknowledge that upset. Doesn't matter if she has a good reason, you're upset. See that irritation instead of brushing it off. It doesn't mean that you cuss her out. It means that you catch that thought and the feeling that accompanied it and say, self, why do I get upset when Chanel doesn't answer the phone? This line of questioning can lead you to understanding a deeper pattern within yourself. Like, every time I reach out, I feel like no one's available to me. And this happens all the time. And this is why I just keep to myself and I can only depend on me. This will be an example of a woe is me record. And being radically honest, in the moment and using self-inquiry to uncover the larger issues, that really helps you break the patterns that are holding you back. Practice presence, awareness of your thoughts and feelings, not letting your thoughts spiral. You are the thinker. There is space between you, your identity, and the thoughts that you think. And practicing presence really means that you're aware of what you're thinking about as you're thinking it. And when you realize that you are thinking, in a negative direction, you can take deliberate action to change your thoughts to be more positive or more positive leaning or even just more neutral. More positive thoughts lead to better feeling sensations in the body and the alleviation of pain. Make a decision. So when you have greater awareness of your thoughts, you become more aware of your patterns, of the woe is me or of the rage or of when you beat yourself up because, you keep making the same mistake over and over. It's just like noticing when your stomach hurts after you eat a certain food. Eventually, you'll see that the same food causes the same stomach ache. In the same way, you'll see that the same thoughts lead to the same bad feelings, which lead to the same uncomfortable physical sensations. When you see the connections, then it's time to make a decision. Then you'll think twice about whether or not you want to eat that food that causes the stomach ache, because the stomach ache's not worth it. It's the same decision you have to make when you practice presence and awareness of your thoughts and feelings. Do you want to keep being angry with this friend because we were using that example and believing that the whole world is against you, or do you want to think differently, that you are actually supported? And you do have to make a decision. And then follow through with that decision. So when you make a different decision, you follow through with it in your actions. If you don't want to be mad at your friend for not picking up the phone, then you choose that. You tell yourself that you're not going to do that anymore. You extend understanding and compassion. Maybe she's busy, didn't hear the phone, doesn't feel like talking, or there's an emergency. All of the above and every other potential reason are okay and acceptable. It's not personal. And it's the same with the big stuff. Your child is in a relationship with someone you think is terrible for them. When you're upset about it and you hold on to those negative thoughts and feelings, they hurt you and they hurt your relationship. You can't do anything about your child's decisions. So let that person be. But you get to choose who you are and who you desire to be by choosing your thoughts deliberately. And repeat. This process, really becomes your approach to releasing negative emotion so that you aren't carrying them in your body and having them accumulate in the body and turn into pain, illness, or disease. Over time, as you learn to become aware of your thoughts and to change the direction of your thoughts, if you don't like how they make you feel, you will experience less pain. You will experience the relief of physical pain, illness, and disease. And that is your homework, specifically as it relates to allergies and pinpointing your emotional reason for experiencing this condition. Prepare your herbal medicine, prepare the tea blend that I shared for you. It will help. And do some of the emotional alchemy work and watch how your body, your mind, and your spirit improve for the better. This concludes our Relief for Seasonal Allergies workshop. Thank you for tuning in. Again, I'm Salima Harleston Lust, clinical herbalist, medical astrologer, spiritual teacher, and co-founder of I Will a Remedy, where we help you turn your health issues into non-issues holistically and spiritually. Learn more about us at iwillaremedy.com. This program was sponsored by the DeKalb County Public Library, and I invite you to explore more of the DeKalb County Public Library's online resources and virtual programs at dekalblibrary.org.